All right, so this is an overview of the UI for the Entropy Sons synthesizer. All right, so this is kind of the home page. You see it's divided into a couple of sections. This right here is like a patch selector. You can use this yellow knob to kind of select through those. Or you can double click, actually single click on that patch thing. You get a big old page of presets. On this page you can save, you can override, you can edit tags of things. You can press the shift button right here. You can sort them, you can share, although that's not quite working yet. That's the basic idea of the library page. Just click on one and it'll load it. You can go back to get back to the main page. So you can kind of see it's arranged in a row of 5 knobs, 5 buttons, and it's got a couple of other things right there. Right now, you kind of see the sub-modules of this preset are made out of. I'll get into that in a second. You can also click on this knob thing and you see what knob or what parameters are currently bound to these. These are like macro controls and it's all reconfigurable. There are multiple pages of them too, so you go right here and actually remaps what these knobs are doing. Yeah, you can also click right here to see what the buttons are mapped to. Right now these are triggered to animations. The second page of buttons are triggered to LFO, so I do this and the LFO turns off. So that's a general idea there. So the entire system is designed in sort of like a semi-modular way. So it's all, this instrument is composed of a big network of like visual processing units where each one kind of feeds into another one and the end result is the animation you see. As such, each patch is kind of composed of sub-patches. Each sub-patch is composed of other sub-patches. So we see right here, modules, that's what each high-level sub-patch is made out of. It's made out of a seed, which is kind of like creating this shape right there with the star texture. It's made out of a recurse thing, which actually controls the shape of the recursion. This is a post-processing thing, and this is a modulation layer, which is a little more complicated. But you can tap on one of these and kind of scroll, and then just immediately load another post-processing layer. So we've just swapped out like a part of the module chain. You can double-click on that to actually kind of dive down a level. You see right now, the navigation bar kind of shows us that we're down in the coloring section. Each subsection has its own collection of sub-patches, all right? You can also, it also remaps what the knobs are doing and what the buttons are doing. So now these are all parameters for controlling the coloring module. So the coloring module has its own sub-modules too, and that's the basic idea here. At any point in time, you can either save, you can hit save, and it'll save sub-modules, or it'll save basically whatever you're working on at the moment. So if you're at the highest level, it'll save you a patch. If you're at a lower level, it'll save a sub-patch. So if you find like a coloring palette, if you find a coloring palette that you really like, you can save it and then reuse it later anywhere across the entire spectrum. So you can also like double click on the sub patches and you see right there that you're down at an even farther level. And we're now in like color effects. So you have a big library here too. Each one of these color effects has its own parameters, and again, you can kind of save those. So there's also a mappings button right here. This is what actually controls the I/O configuration. It maps these buttons to various things, and the knobs to various things too. It lets you map MIDI controls. You can click new and do learn, and the next signal we'll get will actually let you configure that. So yeah, it's fairly complicated in there, but it lets you map all the CV controls, all the MIDI controls, all the knobs, pretty much everything else. Yeah, so there's a help system. It's a work in progress at the moment. But the general idea is like anything, you can like long press on it and it will give you a little bit of a help blurb, which seems like it should be pretty useful for actually understanding what's going on. One last small thing, these are also buttons. So you kind of click down on one, it pops up a little menu right there. So this will take you to an info page about the parameter. It will let you set modulation channels. But the default is reset, so if it's ever like doing something weird, you can just click on a button and it will reset the parameter to something sensible. Yeah, I think that's the general idea of the UI. This is a shift button. It kind of changes the functionality of some things. This is also a navigation button. You can kind of like bookmark various places in the UI and do this. For instance, this is bookmarked to the settings page, which lets you get in and do some other configuration options. So that is the overall of the UI. I think you all probably know what the kind of ports in the back are, but yeah, that's actually kind of what's going on the touch panel here.